Welcome everyone back to another show of the True That Show. We so appreciate you, and we know that you are getting great value because we appreciate all the comments and the emails. And it's been a very exciting time over here, as you guys know, with the launching of all the other new media tools. But we have an amazing guest. And we know so many of you get to places in your life and in your business where you want to get to the next level, and you're starting to have conversations with yourself on, is that happening fast enough? Is it me? Is it not? What have you? So Caroline, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Yourself?
Well, I'm a little chipper. I'm a little chipper today.
Well, I don't know what chipper means, so I'll just be like, okay.
Let's see, what would be a French word for chipper? Elated, ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Let's stick to ridiculous.
Okay. All right, so I'm ridiculous over here in Vancouver. So this is such an interesting topic because we get to do so many projects together, and you can't hang out with someone as much as you, and we've seen different plateaus, parenting, relationships, business. I'm going to let you choose whatever you want to talk about, but have you ever been somewhere where you could be happy where you are, but there's something more, but you don't know whether to open? Did you guys ever have Let's Make a Deal? And they had like door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. And behind one of them was
yeah, we don't live that far then. We're in the same country. I have it too.
But behind one of the doors was a donkey. You know what I mean? So you don't want to pick the donkey. You don't want to make the wrong decision. You don't want to go, oh my gosh, I'm here. Should I go talk to that person? Should I invest in this? Should I just stay where I am? So you don't want to pick the donkeys, but sometimes you don't know where to go. Like,
Well, I think that, what you're describing there as well is a lot of it is different personalities. Because if you don't want to get the zonk and you're so scared about getting the zonk, well, you will never either open bigger doors. You'll stay with the initial little prize that they offered you. So some people choose to be content with that prize, and some other people are like, not that they're greedy, they're just like, I know there's more, and I know like my chances are better to have more than to lose. So it's funny because I did plateaued quite a bit in my life, just like anyone. And I think that if you ever got out of your house, you plateaued because there's so many levels at so many different area in your life that you get to one place, and then, well, let's take a baby. A baby is crawling, and then finally they will try to walk, and then they fall. They get back up, fall, get back up, fall, get back up. And eventually, after some bruises and crying, they walk. Well, we look at them and we're like, well, now you can learn to run. You're not done. So there's always the next level. And I think that for me, I had quite a few of them, but I have the ambitious personality. And every time I get to a level, I'm like, okay, what's next? But I was married to someone who was not like that. And I couldn't understand that when he got to the position he wanted, he was just like, I'm good. And I was just like, well, you're going to run for the next one, right? Like, he's like, no, I'm good. And honestly, like, he was an amazing person, but that's the one thing I never, ever understood. And now I know, like, with hindsight, it's just like we have very different personalities. It doesn't mean that someone is lazy or not wanting something. It's just different personalities. So for some people, plateaued would be comfort. For me, it's like, okay, what's the next level? And I'm asking you the question, but I kind of know the answer. What's your definition?
Well, we're the same tribe, which is one of the things that, they say to do is make sure you hang out with people that are, moving and grooving, and we do such good business together, which is why when you're like, oh, we're going to do this, I'm like, oh, I guess so, so we have that interrelationship, right? You're like my boss wife or whatever they call that. But there's times where I think for me, I've learned to, when I get to that level of accomplishment, whatever it is, or particularly in parenting, I've had a lot of that lately right now, like really just a lot around parenting and getting really, proud of where things are and know where things need to go. For me, it's when I start to get uncomfortable. Or for me, when it's like my dream board is bigger than my paycheck, right? Or I see a difference, and then it starts to feel a little uncomfortable, kind of like there's like a little piece of sand in my shoe. And then it starts to get to the point where it gets really uncomfortable and I want to wear a different pair of shoes, you know? But the problem that I have is I kind of go internal first. And I don't necessarily know if this is the healthiest or other people do this, but I'll be completely transparent. I automatically go like, so what is it that I'm not doing? Not what's wrong with me, but what am I not doing? What am I not seeing? What am I not getting that other people have, get, and what have you, right? So I mean, we're both in a business where there's always different levels that you can go to if you want to, and I'm not finished there. So I think it's that uncomfortable zone, and then there's just so many things that you can do. It doesn't stop me, but I'm just not sure. Like
And
I'm
it's
just not.
funny that you said I'm not finished yet, because I know you'll never be finished. Because first of all, there's always the next level. And second of all, there's always, like, that's what I'm saying, where people like this, we need to have goals and strive towards them. And you know what, the sentence that I saw you were scared to say, like, what's wrong with me? Because we've done a lot of self-development, and that's one of the questions you should never formulate that way. But nonetheless, a lot of people have that question, what's wrong with me? And it's not with me. Or what am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting there? Why is she getting there and I'm not? You know, it's all of that. And today, actually, our guest will help us answer some of these questions, not the what's wrong with me, because there's nothing wrong with you, but that's a whole other podcast. But today we're welcoming Christine Schlonski, an amazing coach. And yes, we've heard, quite a bit about different coaches, but Christine really has something unique. She has a unique approach, and she does produce amazing results. So welcome, Christine, to the True That Show.
Well, thank you so much for having me, ladies. I'm so excited to be here.
I think maybe you need to unmute there.
She's okay.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you in your wonderful energy, and yeah, can't wait for your questions.
Awesome. Well, Christine, let's say I started with saying that you have a very unique approach. So instead of doing what we do usually and keep people hanging until the end, let's just start with this, like start with the best. What's your unique approach, and what, I don't want to say what kind of people, but you're helping people do what exactly?
Yeah, I help people who love what they do, but who are really uncomfortable when it comes to sales, to sell with ease, with grace, with confidence, so that at the end of the day, they don't have a hobby, but they have a business. And we know when we have a business that makes money, we get empowered. We have choice. We can make different decisions than when we struggle. And yeah, we are in lack instead of abundance.
So that is what a lot of people struggle with. I think that we see many people in business, particularly new, they have this great idea, or they're really good at what they do. Like they're so good at what they do. They're like, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to venture out, I'm going to do this on my own. And they feel all of this intent and excitement and passion about that. And then comes the part about asking for what it's worth. I've watched people that I know really well have an amazing product, and they automatically offer a discount right in the beginning to maybe make it a little easier. And I'm like, what are you doing? I know how much that costs you. So what makes it tough for people? Like, what is that about not asking for the sale?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think oftentimes is that we are not clear enough ourselves. And also, I just assume that everybody on this planet has, in some way, shape, or form, made a bad sales experience themselves. So when we really want to serve, we just feel that we don't want to be that person that did this to us, right? We don't want to give somebody else this experience. And we might not even think about it consciously, but subconsciously, we block ourselves in our tracks. And then a lot of people think, and I don't know where that comes from, that the cheaper your price is, the more people will buy. And that's just not true. because people buy value, people buy the benefits they get with a product or the service, and price is not completely irrelevant, but pretty irrelevant if you don't talk to the right people. And my approach is that you always focus on the so-called soulmate client, because with the soulmate client, you have exactly the person you can serve at your best. You will help them to get the best results because they're committed. And it's just a beautiful relationship that makes both parties feel great. And when you, for example, are also a coach or you do some service, like you go energized into the session, you come out even more energized, as well as the coachee or the person on the receiving end.
Awesome. So I can feel like Caroline's got so I can see that beautiful smile on her face. She's got something that she's going to ask. So I'm just going to ask this and then pass this over to her. How do people get stuck in there? I can hear people say, so, but how do I find my soulmate client? What does that look like? There you go. Right. So what does it look like? So when people are starting their business or they're at that place that me and Caroline were talking about, where they're at that plateau, they've been serving for a while, they want to go to the next level. How do they leap that gap, or what do you do with people, or how can you help people get to that place where they're, I mean, gosh, that sounds like nirvana, working with your soulmate clients every day, right? It sounds like nirvana and it would just roll off your tongue. And I have to say that I agree with you that, I mean, we are surrounded by the world of sales and discounts and promotions, and you see big conglomerate companies become multi-billionaires, whether it's talking about restaurant franchises that sell burgers and drinks for $1.99. And so I think people feel like the smaller their price, the more people they're going to have purchase it without having to even answer those questions. So I think we come from that world. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's like the conditioning from the outside. And to really bring something forward that you would love to give to the world, it's really important to get clear inside, right? To really know what are your values, right? And the soulmate client will have similar values. Like one of my, like probably the highest value is freedom. And so people who come and work with me, they love freedom. And freedom means, choice. Freedom makes to, do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, how often, where, whatever, like all of this. So that's, for a lot of people, that's like the goal. That's why they do what they do, because they hope that at the end, the business brings them that. And we can look at all these things out there, like, I don't know, a burger for $1.99. Well, if you don't have money, it might feed you. The question is, what kind of quality do you get? Like what is your value? Like, how do you want to treat your body? How do you want to treat your mind? How do you want to treat your life in general? Because what you focus on expands, right? So when you go and you focus on abundance, you focus on the beauty that the world has to offer, on the good people in the world, you will get more of this. And you don't need to trick anyone. You don't need to have like sleazy sales methods. You can really come from your heart and ask yourself, how can I give today? Because when you give and serve, people will pay you. And you help them, I think that Zig Ziglar said that, you help them make their dreams come true, and then they make your dreams come true in the process as well. And I think from that win-win-win, because it's a win for the world as well, situation, we can create so much power. And so, yes, a world that really is a better place.
I love it. And, I love how you talk. It feels so heartfelt, like we feel it. It's not a script. You didn't learn that. It's really what you feel. And I love that. And before I ask you my question, I want to say that a lot of people, because you talked about freedom, a lot of people, and not to pinpoint the new generation, but I have some millennials, like I've made some. So these babies, a lot about their freedom, what they think is not work and make money. But real freedom is not that. It's not staying home and just like not having a job. Real freedom is actually doing what you love to do, because let's face it, besides a few exceptions in the world, we all need to work. So freedom is to actually fulfill that by doing what you love, and having it bring you the abundance you need, and blah blah. So I don't know, maybe my kids needed to hear that. Sorry, because Deb is always like, I think someone needed to hear that, so I needed to say it. But what I like, let's go back to what I was saying before. I said you really talk by the heart. And I guess that when you are looking for your soulmate client, you can't find your soulmate if you are not true to yourself in the first place. So how would someone, like myself, if I would be today, like, okay, who's my soulmate client? I know that in other podcasts, we talked about avatar. And I feel like what we're talking here is a bit of that. You need to describe, but it's also different because it's more of a, a feeling and a personality than who needs your products. So how would you define your soulmate client?
Yeah, definitely. That's such a great question, Caroline. Thank you. So I feel that if we are more tuned in with ourselves, we can create much better. And I know, I created client avatars. I got totally confused. I didn't know where to start. I didn't have any idea who would be the avatar. Then I had 4. Then I was like, well, who could pay me the most money so I can be the fastest and the most successful in my new business? And you know what? I wasted so much time because at the end of the day, after I actually talked to that first avatar, I realized that's not where I want to go. That feels heavy. That feels like a ton of work. That's not fun. So I wasted like all this time to, create a freebie, to get a landing page up. And, so I got really, really clear, like, who would I love to work with? How is this person? What do they value? And then I thought, well, if I would have them over to dinner at my place, would I want them at my place or not? Right? If it's a no, it's definitely not a soulmate client. So you can use like this simple definition. Obviously there's more to it. We can talk for hours, but I don't care how old the person is. I don't care if it's, female or male or the income bracket. I just don't care. It's more about the values, right? It's like the things that you have in common that connect you, that have that deep understanding for each other, because then guiding someone becomes so much easier because it's usually, you guide them where you already have been. So, my people, they love nature, they love, beautiful things, and yeah, freedom foremost, like that's the most important piece. And they also want to make the world a better place. As corny as this might sound, it's still, so many people have this drive and they do what they do because they hope that at the end of the day, they have that positive impact. And if we would all think a little bit more like this, and with our investments, we can actually handle, like, if we don't buy the $1.99 burger and other people stop buying them, at some point the company probably has to change and something that gives more value or a healthier choice. But really getting that awareness is the first step. So get aware of who you are, what you value, and then start creating from that place, and have in mind like what would bring you so much joy that at the end of the day you have to tell someone, can you pinch me, because this person just paid me really good money. I get to work with them. I learn at the same time. I have so much fun. I'm so energized. Like, is this a dream? Then you definitely know that you are on your right way.
Well, that's how me and Caroline feel about each other. No, it's true. We have a great time, great relationship. I have to ask you, because clearly you're wise in your craft. How did you get here? What's your story a little bit? We love to kind of dig into the person and let people know a little bit. That's why we're called the True That Show. So tell us a little about your story, just outside of what it is that you do and how you got there.
Yeah, definitely. And I never thought that I'm going to do what I'm doing right now, right? So I did the good girl path, as I call it, like be a good girl. That worked out most of the time. Go to school, get good grades, study, right? Do something that your CV looks amazing, so you get that great job, and then, at someday you will be happy. And somehow, I followed that track. I did all those things that I thought I could do even more. Like you did the extra mile, like Karen said earlier, like, she always had that drive, spending a year in the US as an exchange student, being an au pair in Paris, studying in a system that helped me to get the practical piece of studying as well. So I did all the good things. And still, I never felt like I've arrived. Like I've arrived at that level where I was like happy. I was always like in a system where, like a carrot was dangling in front of my face. And when I thought, oh, I have this carrot, well, guess what? That was the next one. And so at some point, I got so frustrated, and I could also feel like in my body that when I went to work, like the closer I got to the place, like I felt this pressure on my chest or my stomach. And I thought, man, I really need to do something. Like, this is not good. Like, I'm not going to make it till I retire. So I thought about, should I get another job? Like, what should I do? And at the end of the day, I realized, well, if I get another job, I still have me with me. So maybe that would be a good place to start instead of starting from scratch, probably being in the same situation after a couple of years. Why don't I start? So I went out on a little quest and I discovered coaching. I did coach training. And then with that coach training, still working full time, I realized, there's so many cool tools to help our mindset, to help discover what's holding us back, to help us see that we have a belief system that most of the time is not even our own. Like, that's been given to us and we've accepted it as the truth. And so I really started working with myself and breaking through blocks. And then one day I had the realization, like, if I get another job, I have reached everything in that company that I could have. And the next step, I was not in for the next step. So I thought, well, the only choice is to have choice. I have to become an entrepreneur. And then, I went out, I got myself support, coaches, masterminds, programs, like what you do. And I started getting that clarity and being inspired by others who were already on their path. And that opened up a whole new universe.
I admire you. I admire you because I know so many people, and you know what, you're talking about feelings, and I can feel them as you describe it because I had those feelings. I had the feelings when I was younger and I worked in a restaurant, and every time I was going there, I was like, but I had no other choice. So sometimes we keep on doing these things because we have no other choice, or we think we have no other choice, because there's always tools. So I admire you and congratulations for actually like saying, okay, I'm going to go as an entrepreneur. It is a blessing, but it also takes a lot of guts. And, it's not that easy. And that's probably why you're so successful at what you're doing, because you went through it exactly, and the feelings, and how it feels, inside. You're saying the stomach and the chest, and I'm like, oh my gosh, for sure she did feel that, because I know exactly what it is. But sometimes we're also in the right place. So let's say, you'll be selling a product and you use a product, and the product works so well and gives you all the results that you want. I'm going to stop saying maybe. Myself, when I started with my company, I started using the product, changed my skin like from A to Z. My biggest complex ever was always my skin. Like, I added them on my dream board to have nice skin one day, like not breaking out. And when I started using that product, it did everything that I wanted, but still I had this fear of talking to people about it. Not because I didn't believe in the product. I believed in the product 1,000%. And not because I didn't believe in the company. I had all those beliefs, but I think that's one big thing you said earlier is we all had this bad sales experience in our life, and we don't want to become this person. So how can we switch? Do you have a quick trick to give us now to switch the mindset that even when you have the best thing in your hands and it would be a shame not to share it, you still have this nervousness like a quick tip to get over that, or at least start getting over that. I know that, there's no magic pill and you can't just solve everything like that, but to put people on the right path.
Yeah, definitely. Like really become aware of what you have been through. Maybe you just sit down in a quiet place, have a coffee, nice tea, relax, and then think about it. Like, where in your life was that sales experience that made you feel bad, inferior, not empowered, whatever it is? Like, think about it, because if it's running in the back of your head, in the subconscious, you can't change it. So like really bring it up and just get aware of it. And sometimes it might not even be your own. Maybe your parents did something and then you heard them discuss at the dinner table and the situation was pretty severe because whatever it was, like the higher the investment, the more impact it will have to make a wrong decision. So like really get clear on that. And then you can decide, before you go into a conversation, each and every time you can choose new. Like, I'm not going to be like this person. I know this has happened, but that's not the norm. My product has delivered these amazing results for me. I mean, look at my skin now, right? I've been using it forever and it has made such an impact. So, and this impact can be for everyone else.
Yeah.
So I think like really, connecting with your heart and then have that conversation. But if you're not aware that you had the sales experience, right, then you can't work with it. So get it on the surface, look at it, maybe you forgive the person, forgive yourself for making a decision that wasn't maybe the best for you at this point in time. And then also forgive the person and just release it.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that answer, because, I took that example as a product, but we can scale that to way bigger levels, because I also know some people who are high six-figure earners that want to go to the 7-figure, but them too, they plateaued and they have something. So I guess that's what I was talking about, is a bit the plateau. You hit a plateau, you're good at something, you get to somewhere, and then you hit the plateau and you're like, a bit what Deb was saying, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get there? So it could be like one single product, but it could also be like scaling to starting a whole new business. I think that what you're saying is good at any level, whether you start in business or whether you're already a multiple six-figure earner and you want to go to the next level. If you're not there, quite often it's because something is stopping you. But I will let Deb talk here, because she was talking about solopreneur a bit earlier, and I'm going to let her jump back in there because she says it better than me for that. Only that.
Wow, I'm getting lots of compliments today. I hope that our listeners are they're all shocked. They're like, oh, Deb should get ridiculous more often. Well, that's actually an interesting question that I hear out of there, because I know when we were talking a little pre-interview, one of your gifts, right? One of the things, I was referred to talk to Christine years ago from a beautiful mutual friend, Rowena. She's like, oh, you two got to go have tea. But, we live in a little bit of, a little far away. And one of the things that really appealed to me was I saw that you had this kind of multiple way of dealing with people at different levels. And one of the questions is, when people start questioning themselves because they got themselves past there, and then you get people to that 5-figure income, that 6-figure income, and you were even talking multiple 6 and 7. And you were saying at that point, they may need some different tools, right? If you've done the self-discovery, which is interesting. I love that. To just go into that corner, have that cup of tea and go, what did make me disempowered before? It may have nothing to do with sales, and it could have just been a disempowering experience that doesn't make you feel very good about yourself. And that's the person you take to the sale. But maybe you should just ask that person to go for lunch and you take the other part, the empowered part of you. Is it the same when you get to that 6 trying to break to the 7, or multiple, or is there different tips that you would have?
Yeah, I think we need to differentiate a little bit, because when, going from 5 to 6, that's a beautiful journey. And then 6, multiple 6 figures. And I think when you get to like around 500,000 to that 7 figures, you need a little bit other, different systems in place. You need to have more structure. You probably need team support. Like as a solopreneur, I do believe you can get to multiple 6 figures by yourself, maybe with a virtual assistant, that's totally doable. But then you need to find a way to multiply what you do so that you can reach more people that you can serve, so they bring more revenue to your company. But it always starts, no matter where you are on that journey, it always starts with that clarity. And I think when you feel like you are plateauing, again, like think about it. What do you feel is in your way? Don't ask yourself like, what's wrong with me, right? That's definitely not a good question. But, and also a very important one is, don't compare you. Because I see so many people, they're always comparing. And especially on social media, I mean, we all can have pictures taken, a beautiful house in front of a Ferrari, and then post it on Instagram, right? And pretend like this is all the success we already have. And then you start comparing with someone who might be totally empty inside. So when you ask a question like, what do I want to give to the world? How can I serve? Money follows success. So once you're clear on how many people you can positively impact, then that will help you to get from the plateau. But doing that inner mindset work, like what that inner work is the most important piece. Because, you know, I helped a person, I'm just going to take one of my clients. She was already at 6 figures and she wanted to scale. So we looked at what she had going on, and she had an event, like that was the days when we could have events without any hassle. So she had an event coming up, and I was like, okay, so what's the plan? And she just wanted to serve. Like, she didn't have any customer journey in place. She didn't have any sales in place. I was like, cannot just collect the people in the event, serve them at the event, and then let them go home all by themselves. Like, that's not working. So, you know, we put in place a beautiful customer journey. We created some services and also the right points on where she could talk in her presentation, in her teaching, so that people at the end of the day would knew how can they take it further, where can they take more, get more support, right? And she reported then that after the event, she almost made 6 figures in a weekend. So that's the plateau story. Like, you really have to see, like, how is your sales structured? Are you avoiding it because it, you know, doesn't feel great? Are you thinking for your clients? Like, where do they need to go next? What is the next step? Like, really creating that journey, and also having a sales process for you. That might sound a bit technical, but you need to have something in place that you can actually hold the space for your clients. Because if you forget, they're going to get stuck. So, you know, figuring out those pieces, then you can get to the next level with ease, because you know the right steps. And I always recommend, look for someone who's already where you want to go, and then check out that person and see if you are aligned, if that could be your next mentor or coach. And then no matter what, you know, what the investment is, just go for it.
That's awesome. I think that's very helpful across the board, right? And that's what makes you so successful, is you have you have that. I mean, you can hear it in your voice, right? It's like, it's it sounds easy, you know, when you talk about it, it sounds easy, but I think you bring it to a right, you know, I've always been a big advocate of mentors and coaches and people to take you to that next step, because many times we can't see for ourselves what we see for others, right? When you want to go to the next level, someone else that's been there can look down. So in kind of, you know, concluding to where it is that we're going and what we're doing, I would love for you to share with our audience, what are some of the things that you have going on right now that people can tap into? What are some of the things that you've done? I know that you've got, you know, summits. You're very, you know, I saw your last summit. It was incredible, the lineup of people that were speaking. So what is it that you have, my dear, that people could tap into and have this kind of experience or learn from what you do?
Yeah, so I think the best place to go is actually my Facebook group. It's called Hard Sales Community. And there I will also have a training for you about my sales power formula, so that you know, get some guidance on how to look at your mindset, what to consider to move forward and to really sell with ease and grace, right? And confidence, because at the end of the day, conviction sells. So when you can get yourself into the place where you truly, truly believe in the product or the service you're selling and in yourself, then you are set up for success. So, I do some trainings in there, not regularly, but, I add to that guide library. And it's also a great community because people are there that they want to serve. They are heart-centered entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs to be. And yeah, they're looking for community and support. So if you feel called, you're more than invited to join that community.
Well, thank you. I will join for sure. Your voice is so calming. It's like, it's gonna be okay. But I have one last question for you, because I'm in an industry where there's so many training and coaching offered, like it rains coaching. I always have the issue with, buying a coaching session. You have different pricing and it's going to be different scale of coaching. But what do you say what's the difference between those programs? And I know what you're going to answer, but I still want you to say it. What's the difference between those programs and hiring you as, a coach that will really help in the journey?
Yeah. So I think when you look for finding your right mentor or coach, it is really, really important that you are aligned with the person, and also that you do your due diligence, like do your research, check out their references or their testimonials, make sure the values are aligned, right? When you are a heart-centered person, even though the program would be, it has a great sales pitch to it, you will not be able to implement if someone is in totally masculine energy, just goes for the buck and is just not in alignment with you, right? It will just push you away and it will suck up your money. So be really mindful in who you choose and trust your instincts, trust your gut. If you feel called to do something, you already know within. So trust yourself to choose that right mentor. And so depending on how people work with me, depending on the level, but, for example, if we would work one-on-one, I only offer 6 months in a container, because it's like going to a gym. If you really want that 6-pack, going 3 times is not going to do it, right? Nobody's going to hold you accountable. Nobody's going to help you to get up when you fall down. And so I think it's important to look at also at the quality you are getting and the level of how you can interact with a person, right? Because sometimes I know in bigger programs, you don't get to see the leader of the organization because they are already so busy doing other stuff. And then you don't really get what you came for in the first place. So I think that's really important when you're looking for a coach. I don't do single sessions, because I see that, I want to have for you that you go on a transformation. And depending on how fast you can get through it or how long it takes you, I think 6 months is a very good container to get you from where you are to where you want to be. And then depending on what you want to create, even do more than that.
And it makes sense, because there's no leap of faith, there's no changing in 3 minutes. So it makes sense if one session doesn't. And maybe you gave me my answer for me why those design and integrated training, why they don't work as well for me, because I'm really a one-on-one, heart-centered. So I like this answer. Thank you. I'm normal. Yay.
You're welcome.
So Christine, I'm going to thank you so much for being on the show. Deb really likes to have the last words. So I will let you, give us any of your closing word, and then we won't upset Deb and we'll let her close the show.
Okay. Well, I would just love to remind you, wherever you are on your business journey and your sales journey, just take in sales is love. And the more you share love, the bigger it becomes. That's the beauty of love, right? And there's another saying that goes, hurt people. And I always say, happy people make people happy. So if you can combine that and bring it into your business, that you sell because you believe in the product, you believe in what you can do, what you're capable of, so many more people will benefit. So you're sharing your love, and that will grow. And at the end of the day, you will be rewarded for what you do. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe the day after, or in a week, or in a year, but definitely it's so much more fulfilling than, playing the good girl and doing the steps that you have been told. So like, listen to your heart and what you want to do on your journey, and get really clear, because we have this life. It's not a rehearsal. So get serious with what you want to do, and then don't forget the fun part in playing it out.
That's amazing. Thank you for the reminder of it's not a rehearsal. We've all heard that. And then I think about, what it takes to be brave sometimes, and exploring yourself, like you said, and being brave, realizing that you maybe need someone to help you take you there, or just being brave enough to go and do what you did, what you suggested, and write down some things that may not be serving you in your business. It may lend you to go do some personal journey work. And then your business is going to excel. But thanks for that reminder, because it is so true, right? Sometimes we're just in the cog. And I love Caroline. I love to have the last word. Then sometimes she jumps in, and then I won't say anything. But I do want to finish off. We are so appreciative. Thank you, Christine, for coming. But we're also very appreciative of everyone that's listening. And we know you're forwarding and we're sharing this information. That's the whole idea around this platform that myself and Caroline created, was a platform for people that are doing really cool stuff in the world. If you're a lifepreneur, which means that you're living like an entrepreneur, it may not be your business per se, it may be your passion. There's some very cool guests that are coming on that are just blowing things up. They're just doing amazing things. And we'd love to hear from you. If you want to be on the show, then reach out. debandcaroline@gmail.com. Super uncomplicated, right? Super uncomplicated. And we are and have launched and are so excited. And Christine is one of the people that put the quotes in our planner. We took our 50 years of business experience and put together what we consider the ultimate entrepreneur planner that helps you organize and orchestrate your life, everything from birthdays to the top 3 business goals that's going to get you to the next level, to social media training, to writing down the thing that makes you the most proud of yourself that you did last week. And so we're super happy about that. It is at an incredible gifted price for our first year. So if you'd like to be in the planner as someone writing a quote, if you'd like to receive the planner, I believe we are down to less than 40 left for this beautiful upcoming year. So reach out to us at the same email. Again, thank you for everything that you do. We appreciate that. And if there is nothing left from either our guest or my absolute gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, kind-hearted, heart-centered sales business colleague, then we're going to say good evening, good day, good afternoon, and we'll see you again next week.